Welcome to the Deep Dive, your backstage pass to the incredible mechanisms that make your body tick.
Glad to be diving in.
Today, we're diving headfirst into the powerhouse within you, your cardiovascular system, specifically how it responds the moment you push yourself, that sudden rush, that pounding heart,
Right.
and the genius plumbing that makes it all happen.
It really is quite ingenious.
Our guide today, drawing from the brilliant insights of Dr. Jason Ryan, an expert in this field, will help us unravel not just what happens.
But the why?
Exactly, the intricate why behind your body's amazing engineering.
Yeah.
Our mission is to reveal how your system adapts in real time and, over the long haul to keep you moving and thriving.
It truly is a masterclass in dynamic control. It's fascinating.
Sounds like it.
When you look closely, even the simple muscle contraction triggers this stunning cascade of events.
Right.
Perfectly orchestrated to deliver oxygen and nutrients and even remodel the heart itself over time. We'll explore these immediate, sort of breathtaking responses and then look at the profound long-term adaptations.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. From the very first step of a jog, or say the first rep at the gym. What's the cardiovascular system's ultimate objective? What's its prime directive?
Yeah, good question. The body's goal during exercise is remarkably focused. It's to maximize perfusion.
Perfusion, okay.
That's just a fancy word for blood flow to your working skeletal muscles and, crucially, to your heart itself.
Right, the heart needs fuel too.
Absolutely. And at the same time, it's actively reducing blood flow to areas that are, less critical in that moment.
Like digestion.
Exactly, like your digestive system.
Yeah.
It's truly about intelligent resource allocation.
So it's not just pushing harder, but about prioritizing.
Got it. What's the very first signal that tells your body, okay, time to kick things into gear?
That initial signal comes right from the source, locally, in the muscles.
Okay.
As they contract, they consume ATP, right?
Yeah.
Burning through oxygen at an incredible rate.
This creates a local oxygen deficit, what we call hypoxia.
Hypoxia, lack of oxygen.
And essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
A signal that the muscle is starving for more blood. And that hypoxia, that's the critical spark.
So muscle hypoxia is the spark, the alarm bell ringing. But who answers that call? What's the central command system that orchestrates the body's broader, more powerful response?
That would be the sympathetic nervous system.
Ah, the fight or flight system.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Think of it as your body's rapid response team. It instantly kicks into action. It's the primary mediator, taking that local signal and scaling it up to a whole body effort.
And what exactly does that local oxygen shortage, that hypoxia, do to the blood vessels right there in the working muscle?
Yeah.
Before the big system kicks in?
Well, that local hypoxia is powerful. It triggers the release of metabolic byproducts into the blood.
Like waste products.
Sort of, but they're more than waste here. Things
Yeah.
like adenosine from ATP breakdown, lactate, carbon dioxide, potassium.
Okay.
These aren't just waste. They're potent chemical messengers. They basically tell the local blood vessels to dilate.
To open up?
To open up, expand, exactly. This immediate local vasodilation lowers the total peripheral resistance, or TPR, right there.
Just in that area.
Just in those specific muscle beds, yeah. Making it much easier for blood to flow in.
Okay, so the local area opens up, but then the sympathetic nervous system jumps in. And that's where things get really dynamic, right?
That's where the orchestra really starts playing.
What's the full impact of that systemic response?
So when the sympathetic nervous system fully activates, it's like hitting a turbo boost.
Okay.
The heart increases its contractility.
How hard it squeezes.
Right, each beat is more forceful, which significantly increases the volume of blood pumped per beat, your stroke volume.
Got it.
It also ramps up your heart rate dramatically.
So faster beats.
Faster beats. And the combined effect, more powerful beat, more beats per minute, is a massive surge in your cardiac output.
The total blood pumped per minute.
Exactly. The total amount. You also see a rise in systolic blood pressure, the top number.
Right.
Because that increased output is pushed into your arteries with more force.
Okay.
And here's the clever part. The sympathetic system also causes vasoconstriction.
Narrowing of vessels.
Yes. Narrowing in less vital areas like your gut and skin.
Ah, diverting the resource.
Actively diverting blood away, yeah. Ensuring those critical working muscles and the heart get maximum supply.
It sounds like a really sophisticated strategy, getting resources where they're needed most. What does all this mean for the blood pressure numbers we might see on a monitor during exercise?
It's a fascinating interplay, actually. Your systolic blood pressure, SBP, the top number, that rises significantly.
Because of the increased cardiac output, the force.
Precisely. Your heart is pushing more blood out with greater force. Your diastolic blood pressure, DBP, the bottom number, however,
It happens there.
it often stays the same or even drops slightly.
Really? Why?
Because of that widespread vasodilation we talked about in the working muscles, that actually lowers the overall peripheral resistance across the body.
So even though some areas are constricting, the dilation in the muscles wins out overall.
It often does, yeah. Since DBP is largely determined by that peripheral resistance, it doesn't see the same spike.
Okay.
The difference between the two, your pulse pressure, therefore, increases.
Systolic minus diastolic.
Right. And overall, despite some vasoconstriction, the total peripheral resistance, TPR, across the entire body actually goes down.
Fascinating. So that's the big picture of blood flow and pressure. But let's zoom in further. How does the heart itself, this tireless pump, adapt its internal mechanics? It's not just beating faster, is it?
Oh, not at all. It becomes incredibly efficient. For starters, its ejection fraction, or LVEF, increases.
Ejection fraction. That's the percentage of blood pumped out with each beat.
Exactly. And this happens because of a more vigorous contraction. It means significantly less blood is left behind after it contracts.
Okay, so it empties more completely.
Right. What we call the end systolic volume, or ESV, goes down.
And what about the filling volume before the beat, the end diastolic volume?
EDV. That might see minor changes. You have more blood returning, that's true, but you also have less time for it to fill completely at very fast heart rates. So it's a bit variable.
Okay, makes sense. A powerful internal adjustment, making each beat count more. But when the heart is working so intensely, it needs more oxygen itself. How does it manage to feed its own muscle when it's racing?
That's a really crucial point. When your heart rate is very high, the diastole phase, that's the relaxation phase.
When the heart fills.
Right, and when the heart muscle gets its own blood supply via the coronary arteries, that phase actually shortens.
Less time for the coronary arteries to deliver blood.
Exactly, less time for filling. So the heart compensates in a clever way. It causes its coronary arteries to vasodilate.
It opens them up wider.
Wider, yeah, to maximize blood flow through them. This is its only real option.
Why only?
Because the heart muscle already extracts almost all available oxygen from the blood, even at rest. It's incredibly efficient.
Wow.
It can't get more oxygen by extracting harder, like other tissues might. It can only get more by getting more blood flow.
So it prioritizes its own supply by widening the pipes. Makes perfect sense. And what about the amount of blood returning to the heart, the preload? How does that change?
Preload the volume, stretching the heart chambers before contraction actually rises with exercise.
Even with less filling time.
Yeah, this is thanks to that sympathetic stimulation we talked about.
Okay.
It also causes your veins to contract. Veins are surprisingly stretchy, kind of like reservoirs.
Right.
When they contract, they push more blood back towards the heart. This increases that end diastolic volume and directly contributes to the higher cardiac output.
Fascinating. So the heart fills more and contracts harder. But there's another subtle but vital trick it employs, isn't there? Something about how quickly it relaxes.
Precisely. You're thinking of lusitropy.
Lusitropy.
Yeah, that's the technical term for how quickly and efficiently your heart muscle relaxes. It's kind of the opposite of contractility, but just as important.
Why is relaxing faster so important?
Well, to fill effectively at very high heart rates, the heart needs to relax almost instantly after squeezing. Otherwise, there's just not enough time.
Right, it needs to be ready for the next filling cycle immediately.
Exactly. And the mechanism involves a brilliant little biochemical switch. There's a protein called phospholamban, PLB.
Okay.
Normally, it acts like a brake on relaxation. But during exercise, sympathetic signals phosphorylate it. They basically switch it off, deactivate this brake.
Okay.
This allows another protein, circa, to quickly suck calcium back into storage, letting the muscle relax much faster and more completely.
Wow.
Ready for the next powerful contraction. It's truly a marvel of biochemical fine-tuning.
What we've just unpacked is really incredible. From the moment you exert yourself, this precise chain reaction starts. Muscle hypoxia sounds the alarm, triggering local vessel dilation,
Right.
while simultaneously activating the body's central command, the sympathetic nervous system.
That's the key integration.
This dual action orchestrates everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Redistributing blood, lowering overall resistance, supercharging the heart.
Which then responds internally.
Exactly. Contracting harder, relaxing faster, filling more efficiently. The end result. A perfectly choreographed physiological ballet.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Surging your cardiac output and vital blood pressure, all while ensuring your working muscles get exactly what they need. It's not just a response, it's an elegant, integrated solution.
Very well put.
Okay, so if the cardiovascular system is this highly efficient pump, then the blood vessels are its complex, adaptable plumbing. Now let's get into the mechanics, the actual physics, that govern how blood flows through that system.
Okay, yeah. At its core, blood flow follows principles much like, say, electricity.
Right.
We can use a version of Ohm's law.
VIR?
Sort of, yeah. For fluids, it's AP equal QXR.
Okay, break that down.
P is the pressure difference driving the blood flow. Q is the flow itself, which, for the whole body, is your cardiac output. And R is the resistance the flow encounters.
Total peripheral resistance, TPR.
Right, TPR for the whole system. It's a fundamental equation. And simply put, flow also equals the velocity of the blood times the cross-sectional area of the vessel it's flowing through.
Okay, so pressure, flow, resistance, velocity, area, it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
What's the critical difference between a vessel's resistance to flow and its compliance, how easily it stretches?
It's a key distinction. Resistance is exactly what it sounds like, how much the vessel opposes blood flow. Think friction.
Okay.
Compliance, on the other hand, is its ability to distend, to stretch, and expand in response to pressure. Think elasticity.
So they're kind of inversely related?
Often, yes. A stiff, rigid pipe has high resistance and low compliance. A stretchy, elastic hose has low resistance and high compliance. Understanding this difference is crucial.
And that concept of compliance is vital, especially when we talk about pulse pressure, isn't it?
Absolutely vital. Your pulse pressure is simply the difference between your systolic and diastolic blood pressure.
So like 120 minus 80 gives you 40.
Exactly. A healthy number is around 40 millimole Hg, but it tends to increase significantly in older individuals or those with hypertension.
Why?
This directly reflects declining vessel compliance, stiffening arteries.
Yeah.
When vessels stiffen, they can't absorb the pressure wave from each heartbeat as effectively. They don't stretch as much.
So the pressure spikes higher and drops lower.
Precisely. That wave hits a more rigid wall, leading to a much larger pressure fluctuation, a higher systolic, maybe a slightly higher diastolic too, but the difference widens. Higher pulse pressure. It's a key indicator of arterial stiffness.
That's a powerful insight into what your blood pressure numbers are really telling you about the vessels themselves. So when we think about total peripheral resistance, what exactly creates that resistance and why does the body work so hard to keep it low during exercise?
Right. Keeping resistance low is essential. It means your heart doesn't have to work as hard, demands less oxygen to pump the same amount of blood. The main factors creating resistance are, firstly, the actual architecture of your blood vessels, the pipes themselves, their diameter and length, and secondly, the viscosity of your blood.
How thick it is.
How thick it is, exactly.
So tell us more about the vessels first. How does resistance change as blood flows through the different types?
Well, pressure drops steadily along the vascular tree. You start high in the aorta, then large arteries, small arteries, arterioles, capillaries.
Okay.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The arterioles are your true resistance vessels.
The arterioles, why them specifically?
They account for the largest pressure drop in the entire system. A huge drop, like 35 millimole Hg across them. Their ability to narrow vasoconstrict, vasodilate, is the primary way your body precisely controls total peripheral resistance from moment to moment. They're the main control knobs.
Got it. And the other factor, viscosity.
Viscosity, yeah. Blood's thickness. Conditions like anemia, where you have fewer red blood cells, make blood thinner, lowering viscosity and resistance.
It's easier for the heart.
In that sense, yes. On the other hand, conditions like polycythemia, where you have too many red blood cells, or certain protein disorders like multiple myeloma, can make blood thicker, more viscous.
Increasing resistance.
Increasing resistance, making the heart work harder.
Now, this is where the body's engineering gets almost magical. You mentioned controlling resistance. Let's talk about Poiseuille's law. Sounds intimidating. Reveals something profound, right?
It does. Poiseuille's law is a fantastic piece of physics applied to fluid flow. It gives us an equation for resistance. R is proportional to 8 times viscosity times the length of the vessel, L, divided by pi times the radius R to the 4th power.
Okay, wait. Radius to the 4th power?
That's the superstar of the equation, R to the 4th.
What does that mean, practically?
It means that even a tiny change in a vessel's radius, especially those arterioles we talked about, leads to a massive change in resistance.
Oh, massive.
If you have the radius of a vessel, the resistance doesn't double or quadruple. It goes up by 16 times, 2 to the fourth power.
Wow. 16 times.
Yeah. This highlights why your arterioles are such powerful levers for blood flow control. They're essentially your body's fine-tuning and coarse-tuning knob, giving it almost exponential command over where blood goes and how easily it gets there.
That R to the fourth factor is staggering. It means the body's control over vessel diameter isn't just tweaking, it's an almost exponential lever. Okay, now when we think about the entire circulatory system, it's not just one long pipe, it's a complex network. How is that network, that wiring diagram, set up to be so efficient?
It's designed primarily as a parallel circuit, not a series circuit.
Parallel versus series, like in electronics.
Exactly the same principle.
Yeah.
This is a crucial distinction. In a parallel circuit, like how your organs are arranged off the main arteries, each organ gets its own direct blood supply branch.
Okay.
This means you can increase or decrease flow to one organ, like muscles during exercise, without dramatically impacting the flow to others, like the kidneys or brain.
Independent control.
Independent control, yes. If resistances were all in series, one after the other, a blockage or constriction in one area would choke off everything downstream.
Right.
This parallel arrangement allows for that precise, independent regulation and redistribution of blood flow we need. It's vital.
How does resistance add up differently in parallel?
In parallel, the reciprocals add up. So 1 over the total resistance equals 1R1 plus 1R2 plus 1R3 and so on. The net effect is that the total resistance is always less than the smallest individual resistance.
Which keeps overall resistance lower than if it were in series.
Much lower. If you had 2 pathways each with 2 ohms of resistance, in series the total is 4 ohms. In parallel, the total resistance is only 1 ohm.
Much more efficient for the heart.
Definitely.
So how do we apply that fundamental flow equation, PET at PQR, to the whole body versus just the lungs?
Good question. We use the same equation, just plug in different values. For the whole body, the systemic circulation.
Yeah.
Q is the cardiac output. RAP is the pressure difference driving flow across the whole system. That's typically your mean arterial pressure, MAP, minus your right atrial pressure, RAP, which is usually close to 0.
Okay, so basically MAP.
Roughly, yes. And R then becomes your systemic vascular resistance, SVR, which is the same as TPR.
Got it. And for the lungs, the pulmonary circulation.
Same idea. Q is still cardiac output, because the same amount of blood flows through both circuits.
Right.
AMP is the pressure difference across the lungs. The pressure in the pulmonary artery, PA, minus the pressure in the left atrium, LAP. And R is the pulmonary vascular resistance, PVR.
And how do those resistances compare at SVR versus PVR?
Oh, SVR is much, much higher than PVR, maybe 10 times higher, typically. The lungs are a low-pressure, low-resistance system.
Which makes sense. It's a shorter distance, less work for the right side of the heart.
Exactly. The key insight isn't just the calculation, but understanding that the resistance the left heart faces pumping to the body is significantly higher than what the right heart faces pumping to the lungs.
That comparison truly paints a picture of the different workloads. And finally, on mechanics, as blood journeys through this incredible network, big arteries, tiny capillaries, back through veins, how does its speed, its velocity change?
Ah, velocity. Well, the total flow, your cardiac output in liters per minute, has to remain constant throughout the entire closed loop. It has to, right? What goes in must come out.
Okay, flow is constant.
But the total cross-sectional area of the vessels varies massively. Think about it. You have one aorta, but billions of capillaries.
So the total area of all capillaries added together is huge.
Absolutely huge. Much larger than the area of the aorta or the large arteries.
Okay.
And remember, flow, velocity, area. If flow is constant and area changes, then velocity must change inversely.
So where area is smallest, velocity is highest.
Exactly. Blood moves fastest in the aorta and large arteries. Where area is largest in the capillaries, velocity is slowest.
And that slow movement in capillaries is important.
Absolutely critical. That slow transit time is what allows for efficient exchange of oxygen, CO2, nutrients, and waste products between the blood and the surrounding tissues.
Makes perfect sense. And just to recap, the biggest pressure drop and highest resistance.
Back to our friends, the arterioles. That's the control point.
Got it. Okay, beyond these incredible immediate responses, your heart has this remarkable capacity for long-term adaptation. Let's talk about that. What happens when the workload changes permanently, not just for a run, but for months or years?
Yeah, this brings us to the concept of wall tension or wall stress, often described by the law of Laplace.
Law of Laplace. Okay.
It basically tells us that the tension within the heart wall is proportional to the pressure inside the chamber times the radius of the chamber, divided by the wall thickness.
So tension is like pressure radius, thickness.
Loosely, yes. The key takeaway is that increased tension on the heart wall dramatically increases its oxygen demand.
Right. More stress means more work, more fuel needed.
Exactly. And if that demand isn't met over the long term, that's when you can run into problems like ischemia or angina, even heart failure.
So wall tension is a key indicator of how hard the heart is truly working long term. How does this apply when the heart faces chronic challenges like increased afterload or preload?
Both are significant stressors that increase wall tension, increased afterload. Think of chronic high blood pressure, hypertension,
Right.
or a narrowed aortic valve, aortic stenosis. This means the left ventricle has to generate much higher pressure to push blood out.
Higher P in the equation.
Exactly. This is a pressure overload, and it directly increases wall tension, according to Laplace.
Okay. And preload.
Increased preload happens with things like leaky valves, aortic or mitral regurgitation, where blood flows backward, overfilling the ventricle.
So the chamber stretches.
It stretches, yes.
Mm-hmm.
This increases the radius of the left ventricle, higher R in the equation.
Ah.
It's a volume overload, and it also increases wall tension. So in both pressure and volume overload, the heart muscle is under chronic strain.
So the body adapts. The heart tries to cope. If it's trying to deal with these long-term stressors, it essentially grows, right? You mentioned remodeling. What's the main idea behind this hypertrophy?
Exactly. Hypertrophy muscle growth is the heart's clever compensatory mechanism to try and normalize that increased wall tension.
How does growing muscle help?
By increasing the wall thickness, in the denominator of Laplace's law. If thickness increases, tension decreases for a given pressure and radius. It literally grows more muscle to spread the stress over a larger mass, easing the burden on individual muscle fibers.
Ah, makes sense. Spreading the load.
Spreading the load. This growth happens in response to either chronic pressure overload or chronic volume overload.
And you mentioned there are two main ways it grows, like building a bigger room versus thickening the walls. These are eccentric and concentric hypertrophy.
That's right, two distinct patterns. Eccentric hypertrophy is the heart's response mainly to volume overload.
Okay, like with leaky valve.
Exactly. Think of adding more rooms to your house to accommodate more volume. The heart muscle cells, the myocytes, actually get longer.
Longer, how?
New contractile units called sarcomeres are added in series, like links in a chain end to end.
Okay.
The overall left ventricular mass increases, yes. But crucially, the wall thickness doesn't increase proportionally. The chamber itself dilates, becomes larger, baggier.
So bigger cavity, same-ish thickness.
Relatively speaking, yes. Classic causes again, aortic regurgitation, mitral regurgitation, certain cardiomyopathies.
Got it. And the other type, concentric.
Concentric hypertrophy is the heart's answer mainly to chronic pressure overload.
Like high blood pressure or aortic stenosis.
Right. This is like thickening the existing walls of your house to withstand greater external force. Here, new sarcomeres are added in parallel.
Side by side.
Side by side, making the myocytes thicker, not longer. The left ventricular mass still increases, but this time, the wall thickness significantly increases.
Thicker walls. What happens to the chamber size?
The chamber, the cavity, often stays the same size, or can even become smaller. The whole ventricle becomes thicker, stiffer.
Stiffer. That sounds like it could cause problems with filling.
It absolutely can. This concentric hypertrophy is a hallmark of many cases of diastolic heart failure, where the primary problem is the heart struggling to relax and fill properly because it's so thick and stiff.
Wow. Two very different ways the heart remodels based on the type of stress.
Exactly. Both are adaptations, but they lead to different structural and functional outcomes.
Truly, this deep dive reveals the heart as just a marvel of dynamic engineering, capable of both these instant reflexive adjustments we talked about first,
The acute response.
and then this profound long-term remodeling based on chronic stress. From the microscopic signals in your muscles to the intricate physics of blood flow and the actual growth of your heart, it's a testament to your body's constant pursuit of optimization.
It's really more than just a pump, isn't it? It's a beautifully integrated system. Physics, physiology, molecular biology, all dancing in perfect sync to meet every metabolic demand. The precision and adaptability are just, well, staggering. Keeps us active and alive.
So what's the real takeaway for you listening to this? This understanding isn't just academic, right?
Not at all.
The next time you feel that powerful rhythm during a workout, or maybe even just see your blood pressure numbers on a cuff,
Yeah.
you'll have, hopefully, a profound new appreciation for the sophisticated, self-regulating engine constantly at work inside you.
And it leaves us with a compelling thought, I think. If the human body, this incredible biological system, adapts so profoundly to stressors like exercise and chronic pressure, what are the ultimate limits of that adaptation?
That's a big question.
It is. And how can we better understand and perhaps even guide these natural engineering principles to foster greater health and longevity?
Yeah.
Prevent maladaptation.
Precisely. And consider this. The elegant solutions we've explored today within your cardiovascular system, real-time adjustments, efficient distribution, long-term remodeling. These are principles that underpin effective design in countless other complex systems. Think about city infrastructure, water systems, advanced machinery.
The parallels are there.
They really are. How often do we overlook the genius right under our skin, offering lessons for innovation everywhere? Keep that thought in mind as you go about your day. What other challenges could be solved by looking closely at how nature's master engineer